Hello and good day, everybody. This is Chris Pastore here from Mainline Family Law Center to talk to everybody today about the alimony statute in Pennsylvania, Chapter 37, Section 3701 of the Pennsylvania Divorce Code, as you can see it here on our screen. So, just briefly, I wanted to go through some of the elements, the main elements of alimony. And you can see in the general rule under 3701A, where a divorce decree has been entered, a court may allow alimony as it deems reasonable to either party only if it finds that alimony is necessary. So this then implies that alimony is a discretionary thing in Pennsylvania, meaning that neither spouse has an absolute entitlement to it, but that they must specifically go to court and make that claim as part of their divorce case. And then the court will either award or not award the alimony based on their evaluation of any one or all these 17 factors relevant here, 1 through 17. So I wanted to go through a couple of these with you. Some of the more important ones that are really, I sort of need to haves, so to speak, in order to make out a successful alimony case, based on my experience. Factors relevant, number one, the relative earnings and earning capacities of the parties, hugely important. It's not just what you're making and I'm making at the time of the divorce, but what are our respective abilities to work and earn at our highest level of earning capacities moving forward. And this is based on not just what we're making now, but historical factors. What have we done up till now? Where have we worked? What is the highest level we've earned? What are our skills, talents, abilities that we can use that will allow us to earn at the highest level? Educational backgrounds, etc. They all go into factor number one. So when there is a significant discrepancy between the couple, husband and wife, between their relative earnings and earning capacities, think about, my spouse makes twice, 2, 3 times more than I do. I mean, discrepancies like that, are more appropriate for the court to say, alimony would be an appropriate award here in this case. So that's number one. Number three, the sources of income of both parties, including but not limited to medical, retirement, insurance. So the court is also looking at the parties' ability to earn income moving forward. What are their sources of income, total sources? Do they have a health insurance or medical benefit already? And are they going to have access to that or not in the future after the divorce? Retirement, of course, their ability to work and earn retirement, as well as the retirement assets that they bring with them. Number five, duration of the marriage. So very important as well. So duration then, obviously the longer term the marriage, the greater the case is for alimony because there's a longer period of time invested into that marriage. So think about a continuum of time really where you've got anywhere between 1 to 7 to 8 year marriage is typically known as a shorter or short-term marriage. Anywhere between 7 to 8 to 15, 17 years, think about a mid-term marriage. And then 17, 18, 20, 25 plus, 30 plus is a longer or long-term marriage. So very, very important. You can see where your marriage would fall within that continuum. Number six, the contribution by one party to the education, training, and increased earning power of the other. Also very big. This is a classic dynamic, but although not the only dynamic for alimony, where there was an arrangement during the marriage that one spouse would be the primary or sole wage earner and the other would stay home, raise children, and keep the family home. If there was such an arrangement, and that spouse then loses ground in that they lost time in their ability to be able to work and earn and increase their own earning capacity or earning power, but then allowed their spouse to increase theirs, the law recognizes that as having value in a divorce, even though they don't quantify or can't really quantify that, but it has value when it comes to determining whether an alimony award should be awarded or not. Factor number 9, the relative education of the parties at the time necessary to acquire sufficient education or training. Again, we're going to look at educational backgrounds. If there's a discrepancy in that, let's say one spouse only made it through high school or maybe a 2-year college, the other spouse has a graduate degree, an advanced degree, obviously that's directly tied to their abilities, let's say their respective abilities to work and earn at a higher or lower capacity. So from there, then, I want to talk about factor number 16. This is a big one, and I know I'm just highlighting here. We're not talking about all of them, but very, very huge. So whether a party seeking alimony lacks sufficient property under Chapter 35. So in this case, and this is really where courts are trending a lot these days, and I'm glad that they ought to hear that they are, because what they're doing is they're looking at the entirety of the estate. So in evaluating whether or not alimony should be awarded, they're going to look at the type of estate the couple has. So if it's an estate that's worth, let's say, $3 million in net assets, so the court knows that however the couple decides to distribute that estate, court knows that at the end of the day, the spouse that's seeking or needing alimony is going to be pretty well compensated through the assets. That doesn't mean that they're not entitled to alimony. A court can still award the alimony. However, they may award something at a lower level or for a shorter period of time. Contrast that by the situation where the couple's estate is very small. There's very few assets or maybe no assets. We get some of these cases where we're just talking about how do we divide the debt. That's the only thing that's left. But let's say very few assets, but there is income. And in that case, the court knows that no matter how the couple decides to divide the estate, it's certainly not going to be enough to compensate that spouse that's needing the alimony. So in that case, this could justify a court giving or a master giving a higher award of alimony or for a longer period of time. That's why number 16 is very important to go through and do that evaluation, which we do all the time in our mediation meetings. I hope that you found this very helpful and enlightening on the law of alimony, and we wish you the best of luck to you and your family for the future.